you very much, Jerry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure to tell you about the Neometals story. Could I possibly get it up on the screen here? Thanks. So today the format of my speech will pretty much, who are Neometals, what are our projects, what we're doing this year, why we're doing them, and when. Neometals is different to most development companies. Essentially, we start with a view with a globally relevant commodity. So initially we picked out gold, vanadium, lithium. We acquire the most advanced project with grade and scale. And so to shortcut that, we basically took over old Western mining deposits, particularly Mount Marion. We added value with the drill bit, test work, evaluation studies, and essentially the model is to build up the value proposition and then to bring in big partners to develop these so that we can achieve the optimum size and scale, minimise the capital outlay, and then bring money back to the company as soon as we can. We have built and exited a major project in this risk-averse manner. We've made a lot of money for the shareholders. We've returned $34 million to date. A strong balance sheet, and we invest and have invested continuously for the last 7 or 8 years in innovation to try to drive down our cost position. So as Jerry said, we founded in 2003, 20-odd guys and girls in the business. Post the sale of Mount Marion, we'll have about 130-odd million bucks. We're currently trading at a negative EV of about 20 million bucks, so I'm not doing that great a job apparently. But we have a very, very strong balance sheet to develop our wholly owned projects, the Barrambie Vanadium project, the lithium-ion battery recycling project, and continuing advance our ambitions to build a lithium refinery in Kalgoorlie. So who are Neometals? Look, we're a collection of pretty good guys and girls down the bottom of the line, and up the top are the gatekeepers on how we spend our money. We have a very disciplined strategy in which we advance our projects, how we allocate capital, and the board pretty much are the gatekeepers and specialists from corporate governance, capital markets, metallurgy, strategy, and construction. So on the right there, I've actually overlaid our share price for the last couple of years with the lithium carbonate price. And as you develop a lithium operation and you bring that into production, it's very, very hard to get away from the performance of the lithium market. So we've enjoyed some very good times in lithium, but the last year has been pretty tough as the Chinese lithium prices have halved. The spodumene prices generally lag the lithium commodity price. The thinking is that, we're sending the white rocks up to China, they're converting them. If they're making more money, we can charge them more money for the rocks. That's good on the way up, not so good on the way down. So in the lithium business, we decided to get into that about 9 years ago and acquire Western Mining's old Mount Marion project. It had a couple of excellent feasibility studies on that. We were able to attract MinRes in to develop that. Ganfeng, who's China's largest lithium producer, to offtake and invest. So we understand the economics of the upstream lithium production. We always looked at what our customers and the main catalysts for the lithium boom were, which is the chemical operation. So we now understand the economics of doing that, and we've got some plans to do that in time. We have no skills in producing cathodes or anodes or any of that really high end sort of stuff, or batteries or packs. And then a couple of years ago, we moved our mind to recycling these at the end of the life, because someone's gone to the trouble of combining the lithium, the cobalt, nickel, manganese into a battery. And one thing's for certain is that they wear out. So in terms of where our current focus is, it's moving away from the upstream to the furthest downstream we could get, which is recycling these batteries. So we decided to exit Mount Marion late last year. We have retained a life of mine offtake agreement for a baseload feed for an eventual lithium refinery in Kalgoorlie. So basically what we've done in bringing in the big partners, we've been able to develop the mine at 4 times the scale that we looked at, and we've managed to harvest about $200 million off of a $3 million investment. And, you know, why we were doing that? Well, you know, like I said, we enjoyed the ups and downs in the lithium market, but as the prices normalised in 2018, and something similar to the iron ore market, where the Chinese pay an incentive price for the white guys to build these huge mines, and then the prices normalise. And so it's going to take the Chinese a couple of years to build capacity big enough to process the behemoths that are coming into the market, which is Greenbushes Stage 2 and Wodgena's 3 plants, which will essentially double Australia's spodumene production capacity over about 12 to 18 months. So the lithium refinery, we're essentially just looking at doing the same thing that Ganfeng was doing, which is taking the white rocks and making them into white powders that go into the batteries. Mount Marion, obviously, for the last couple of years, it's the world's second largest source of hard rock lithium production. Ganfeng have been producing that into the highest quality lithium chemicals. They supply their chain into Apple and Tesla. So, you know, it makes very good product. We've got a baseload feed. Our test work confirms the same thing that Ganfeng have done at a commercial scale. We secured a 100-acre site from the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and they've been excellent to work with. So we've got a couple of I think we've got two-year options on that. We've almost finished the feed study and continuing the external approvals processes, but it's against a background where the chemical prices have halved. And for us, you know, we see that if you look out at the lithium demand and supply balance, we should only develop these. Did you want to take that, buddy? So yeah, look, the market's going to be an oversupply for a couple of years, and we really see the window opening up to developing this emerging in the next decade. So we have strong conviction in the battery thematic. You can't argue that there's 70 mega factories being built over the next 4 or 5 years to supply the electric cars and the energy storage batteries. That's a given. So we've got very strong conviction in that, notwithstanding where the lithium price is at the moment. And what we're even more convinced of is that these batteries come back much quicker than you think. They're all right for phones and laptops and stuff that aren't heavy, heavy draw. But when you start putting these in these cars and you start putting them in taxis and stuff, they're not getting to the 8 and 10-year warranties. So we're absolutely convinced that they'll wear out and that they will return back. So essentially what we've done is we've gone out, we've been working on this for about 2 years. We've built a full commercial scale front end. That's it, sitting at SGS in Canada. Not the best time of the year to run it, but notwithstanding, that's where it is. So we've finished shredding batteries. We're running a mix of lithium, cobalt and NMC batteries, which is consumer electronics and car batteries. That will run through to mid-year, and then we'll finish a front-end engineering and design study by the end of the year, and then look to put that into operation as long as we've got a good source of material. So initially we looked at lithium cobalt batteries, but these car batteries and the adoption of cars, particularly in China and now emerging in Europe, is much, much faster than we thought. So we're seeing these massive nickel-rich batteries coming in. They're engineering out a lot of the cobalt. You can't get rid of it completely, in my opinion. But you know, what we are seeing is there's massive amounts of nickel, copper and manganese going into these batteries. And so when we get down to 811 in a few years' time, for every tonne of lithium I get back, which is about 12 or 13,000 a tonne now, I'll get a tonne of nickel metal, which is 11 or 12,000, cobalt and copper. So my net lithium production cost should be around zero. Well, it works. So this is just a factory acceptance testing of the 50 tonne a day front end of the shredder. That's the batteries that are going in. Essentially what we do is neutralise those. We've got CO2 shroud. We do it in an electrolyte and essentially shred the batteries, remove the steel casings, remove the plastics. The graphite won't digest in sulfuric acid, and then we just basically run a normal sort of hydromet circuit at the back and drop out the individual metals as sulfates. So we've got a pretty tight indicative timeline for this year, but we've got plenty of money and we've got the guys working on it, so we're quite confident that at the end of the year we'll be in a position to consider an investment decision. The biggest project that we've got so far and have spent quite a lot of money on is the Barrambie titanium and vanadium project. It's one of the world's highest grade hard rock titanium and one of Australia's largest vanadium projects. We own it 100%, it's about 80 k's north of Sandstone. We acquired that in 2003. The Western Mining guys did a couple of feasibility studies in 90 and 91. I guess the key difference between Barrambie and I'll say it, Windermurray, is that we've got a 75% higher head grade. We're currently updating the 2009 definitive feasibility study to become JORC 2012 compliant. That should be out in the next couple of weeks. And we've previously received ministerial approval to develop the project. It is the most advanced vanadium project globally. If we have a little look at a video, I won't play the whole lot, I'll play a bit of it. So essentially it's a layered deposit. You've got these sorts of deposit are what seeded all the mineral sands deposit that washed back up on the West Australian coast billions or a billion years ago. So essentially it's about 11 kilometres long. We've done 55,000 metres of RC and diamond drilling down to a set depth of 70 metres. It's sort of drilled to Swiss cheese. Granted mining lease. Essentially what we do is we have a basal layer on the right-hand side, or the eastern band, which is high titanium. The rest are sort of higher in vanadium. It is a globally significant resource. We have about 280 million tonnes of material. The higher vanadium subset's about 65 million tonnes at 0.82, which is very competitive. Globally, we don't report concentrate grades in the drilling, but our concentrate grade gets up to about 1.4. In terms of sort of scale, we've got 280 million tonnes in the top part there. We've drilled it down to over 300. It's got an exploration target of about 500 million tonnes. The government seismic shows that layered intrusion goes down to 4 kilometres, so we're not likely to ever run out of feed material. So the 2009 feasibility study, yes, it's got a big capex, about 600 million, but if you're trying to build one of these outside of China, that's the sort of cash spend that you're going to look at. Most important things is you're down in the lowest quartile cost, less than $20 a kilo. The mine life, we expect a significant improvement in the new results. So where you end up is at the bottom end of the cost curve, about $20 a kilo. The prices for vanadium range between $72 and $90 a kilo. The main use is going into steel. The Chinese have increased the rebar strength of their steels and are using more ferrovanadium, which is great. About 80% goes into steel, about 10 to 15 goes into titanium alloys in planes, and about 5% in batteries. But the batteries, and Mr. Friedland just bought China's second biggest vanadium battery plant, are growing at between 15 and 25% per annum. So we see incredible growth. The market is in structural shortage, has been in for a couple of years, and is forecast to remain that way almost to the entirety of the next decade. So new primary supply is needed, and fortunately, having received our approvals, we're probably a couple of years ahead of our Australian competitors. The developers, the drivers for maintaining a focus on the titanium, we've got about 2/3 of the value in the titanium, 1/3 in the vanadium, but the vanadium comes out much quicker. The titanium will come out later on, and the forecast deficit doesn't start until about 2022. There's a timeline, so we'll have the JORC reserve and results out in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll move to considering an FID later in the year. So I guess in summary, we've got a history of de-risking these projects with strong partners. We've delivered money back to the shareholders. We're developing good mines that can supply feedstocks of titanium, vanadium and lithium. We've got a clear path to grow margins by vertically integrating. We've got a fantastic team with a track record in exploration, development, production. And we've got a very, very healthy balance sheet. So thank you very much for your attention.